So, yeah. So this week's been kind of fun. I've not really slept properly in a while. I don't even know the last time I slept properly. Which yesterday managed to trigger a hypomanic episode right before college. So that was fun. This is apparently a thing that I like to do now, which is weird. But yeah. I don't even know where to begin. Right, so I had lots of things that I figured I could talk about, and I have no fucking idea where to start usually. So recently I wrote out all the symptoms that I experience across 3 different personality disorders and stuck them on the wall in columns so I could see what went where, and I was going through and writing a bit about how each one affected me. So today, before I left, I pulled them all off the wall, chucked them in a box, and figured I'd fish one out and talk about it a bit. Like, it could be interesting, it could be really fucking dull, but, you know, we'll give it a go. Okay. I have identity problems, including I have an unstable sense of identity, I have poor self-esteem and excessive self-criticism, and I often experience dissociation when under stress. Yeah, that's probably a pretty big one, to be fair. I do have identity problems. I have no fucking idea who I am from one minute to the next. Some days I'm pretty much the same. Other days, yeah, I'm someone completely different. I have 3 distinct personalities that reside within me. There's me, whoever that may be. There's one we generally refer to as caustic soda. She's kind of, I don't know, she's very strong. She's a bit of a badass, and you know, usually if I'm under a lot of stress, I'll dissociate to the extent that she'll take over. If anyone gets up in my face, if I'm drunk or on drugs, if I'm excited, if I'm around certain people, she'll be the one that comes out. I quite like her. I wouldn't mind being her all the time. I was her for a long time. She's a bit of an arsehole though, if I'm honest. She doesn't really have, I don't know, she tends to she's the more narcissistic side of my personality, you know. She tends to, I don't know, it's hard to say this without it sounding kind of nasty about people that suffer from like narcissism in the form of personality disorder. It's actually pretty fucking hard, you know. She doesn't have a lot of empathy. She doesn't really, I don't know, other people seem very alien when I'm her. They're kind of like little creatures that I have a hard time identifying with, you know. Like I can kind of understand where they're coming from, but mostly they seem pretty pointless, you know. She actually has very high self-esteem. She thinks she's pretty awesome, and that's generally like well deserved. She is pretty cool, but I don't know. Yeah, the other personality is Sophie. She's like 6. She's like me when I was 6. You know, she's pretty timid, and she likes bunnies and shit. Like, in the world inside my head, like when I picture her, she's in like a big green meadow with a white rabbit, and that's pretty much where she spends all her time. I have a funny feeling like my little boy connects with her quite a lot. Like when I'm sad. Fucking trains. I should really find someone else to do this. But it's so noisy. Yeah, when I'm sad and kind of mopey, like I have lots of different kinds of depression in my life. When I'm particularly sad and mopey and feeling a little bit sort of, I don't know, little, I suppose, like my little boy will come up and he'll put his hand on my arm and he'll he'll sort of talk to me like I'm a kid, you know, like, you alright, you know, do you need a cuddle, you know, and he'll really kind of soothe me quite a lot. He's a very good kid. And my boyfriend one night, when we were sitting chatting about stuff, like, I mentioned this, I said, you know, he's the only person, well, my little boy is the only person that really knows how to cope with me when I'm like that. He's the only person that knows exactly how to respond to pull me out of it a little bit. And he said to me, do you think he sees Sophie when he's talking to you like that? Do you think it's that he actually sees Sophie? And I really wonder if he does. To be honest, I think my kid's probably better at picking up on my switches than even I am. Yeah, she doesn't really front. She fronted recently because we were walking back from here one night and it was particularly dark, and you know, when you think you can see something in the shadows, you know, you can see someone standing there. Yeah, I actually did see someone standing there. More trains. And yeah, like, I have this guy who lives in my head. I understand that this sounds really fucking ridiculous. I'm sure it does, especially from a neurotypical perspective. But I have this guy who's he's just like this big black silhouette, you know. He spends his days trudging along this long, grey, dirty road that's basically, I think, a metaphor for my depression. You know, and I'm pretty certain he's schizophrenic. You know, he experiences a lot of delusions, and he believes them so much that he thinks he's guilty of like really, really horrible things. Actually, I think he's all right. I quite like him. You know, he doesn't chat much, but you know, he's there. I feel like I don't know. He's weird. He's weird. It's hard to explain. But anyway, I saw him, like, stood right in front of me. You know, like the creatures in Attack the Block that are so fucking black. You know. That's what he looked like, not like one of those creatures like who he is, just stood there. And like, she completely fronted, and I was stood behind my boyfriend crying like a baby and shaking. I've never felt terror like that. Do you know what I mean? That's the only time I've really known her to do it. Yeah, that kind of leads on to like dissociation kind of comes into that, I suppose. There are lots and lots of different kinds of dissociation. You know, you get things like dissociative identity disorder, which is kind of similar to what I experienced with it, I suppose, but on a much grander scale. You know, people have like a number of alters, like separate personalities to their own that reside within them, and they'll take it in turns to front, to take control of the actual host. You know, it's very interesting. There's a lot of stigma surrounding it. I think a lot of people, even professionals, don't really believe it exists. I've actually seen videos done by people with DID, and it's really fucking interesting, and people need to pay attention. But yeah, dissociation, generally, when I'm stressed and I'm dissociated, it'll come after like a whole mountain of overwhelming emotion, and I'll basically just switch off. I go on autopilot. I'll sit there and stare at a wall for 3 days, quite happily, like not necessarily happy, but I won't be feeling anything, so I'll be alright, you know. It can be really disorientating. You can lose hours, maybe even days. Sometimes you don't remember fuck all, to be perfectly honest. I know that one day I apparently went to my mum's, sat on a sofa with my hood up, my hat on, like staring into space for 6 hours. I thought I'd been there like 5 minutes, but you know, she came in, she stuck a bowl of roast chicken skin on my lap and went, eat that. And by the time I'd finished, I was alright. I think like the trick with dissociation, like if you want to get out of it, is to stimulate your senses. You know, so find things that feel nice when you touch them, things that smell nice, you know. Yeah, music's good. Music's good for fucking everything, really. Yeah. Ice cubes, things that give you like a jolt to your senses. Apparently sour sweets are quite good. I might try that. But yeah, I think it can be pretty unsettling for other people, I think. You just kind of sat there like a zombie, staring into space. It's probably quite unnerving at times. But yeah, it's quite a common thing with BPD, I think, dissociation. It's one of the main criteria, in fact. I think you don't have to experience it, but it's right in there. But yeah, it's yeah, I suppose with dissociation you also get things like depersonalization, and derealisation. I think depersonalisation is feeling like you're not actually real. I think, is that the right moment? I think depersonalisation is when you feel like you're not actually real, and derealisation is when you feel like nothing else is real. And I kind of live in a state of derealisation, to be perfectly honest. Like, I don't believe any of this is real. I believe that life is actually a computer game and we're all just roaming around playing the game. You know, and those of us with extra personalities, we've got a load of bastards in a race fighting over who's going to control it next. You know what I mean? It's kind of cool, you know. I think that's one of the reasons that I fall into the schizotypal bracket, but, you know, I like it. It's a good way of seeing things. You know, go through some shit, get through it, level up. You know, got lots of mods, doing pretty well, to be honest. Anyway, I might try another one because I haven't even finished my cigarette yet. I very much live in the moment to the point where past actions don't matter. How I judge others and myself depends entirely on what is happening right now. Yeah, this is a weird one for me. Like, I can get very bogged down with shit that happened in the past. It's one of the many joys of borderline personality disorder. You tend to get stuck in all the horrible things people have ever done to you. But I think that's kind of the point of this symptom, is that when you fall out with someone, there's a possibility that you're going to split on them with BPD. And splitting is when you go from really, really caring about someone to fucking hating them in like that, you know. And when that happens, I literally cannot remember a single good thing they've ever done for me. Even if I can think of a good thing, it's tainted by the bad things that they've done, you know. And the bad will, like, I remember every tiny little slight, every tiny little thing they ever did to piss me off. But I remember even the biggest things they've done for me, you know. And if I do, it will be like, well, they only did that to get this out of me. And you know, well, that's not worth shit now, is it? Because now they're a complete and utter arsehole and I hate them. You know, and it's actually really, really hard to get out of it. Having said that, I'm also a fairly forgiving person. It sounds kind of paradoxical, and it kind of is. Welcome to my life. But yeah, I don't really tend to judge other people so much on how they've treated others, you know. I tend to go by how they treat me personally. You know, I feel like everybody's a different person depending on who they're with. That may not be normal, that may just be my disordered brain and how I experience things, and assuming that everyone else is the same. I hadn't really considered that. But you know, I kind of figure like different people bring out different aspects of your personality, whether you've got a personality disorder or not. You know, that's going to happen. You know, you're a different person with your parents than you are with your mates. You know, so, and I think that people mix in the same way that chemicals mix. You know, you can mix some chemicals together and they're just fine. They make a kind of pretty mess. You know, other chemicals, you mix them together and boom, you've lost the entire lab. You know, kind of like me and my ex-husband, to be fair. Yeah, so, you know, and I know that I've been fucking horrible to some people, especially in relationships. Like, I've been in relationships with some people where I've been an absolute fucking horror, you know, and others I've been the perfect girlfriend, you know, not until I got bored. But yeah, it does, it's kind of a weird one. I don't really know where to go with that. Yeah. So much philosophical shit involved in this. Right, these are all borderline. I want one that's not borderline. That's kind of boring. Oh, here we go. I constrict my own reactions and avoid eye contact and try not to express myself too openly to others. Right, this is a funny one for me. Right, this is from the schizotypal shit. Right, considering I'm borderline and my emotions tend to be really fucking extreme, and I do have a lot of trouble controlling my impulses sometimes and controlling my reactions. When it comes to like normal responses, you know, I constrict things a lot when I'm not in a borderline moment and flying off all over the place with it. Like, I actually do. Like, I find it very hard to express excitement or enthusiasm, or like being impressed with other people. Like I downplay a lot of stuff, and a lot of the time, like if I'm really hurt by something, like I can either go one way or another. Either I'll fly off into a rage about it, or I'll switch off or pretend I don't care, because I don't want people to see that I'm hurt, or because I think maybe they think I'm silly or weird or whatever. Eye contact I fucking hate. I'm studying counselling at the moment, and eye contact is a really important part of it in a helping relationship, and apparently when we're doing skills practice, my eye contact is brilliant, and I'm hoping that sort of comes across into my personal life a little bit more. But I find it really uncomfortable looking in people's eyes. And I remember talking to a counsellor once, and she was like, "Why won't you look me in the eye?" And I was like, "I don't know, I'm not comfortable with it." She's like, Are you afraid of what I'm going to see? And I was like, "No, I don't think so, And she said, "Are you afraid of what you're going to see?" And I think she hit the nail on the head there, and like she made me look her in the eye. Like, she wasn't forceful about it, but I managed to look her in the eye for a brief second, and she looked so fucking sad. Do you know what I mean? Like, she really felt for me, and it was a weird moment, and it makes me really fucking uncomfortable. The only time I make eye contact with people is if I really want to have sex with them, or I'm staring them down because they've pissed me off. Try not to express myself too openly to others is a funny one, right? Because, like, I talk about a lot of personal shit to people. I'm very open about stuff like that. But when it comes to actually how I really feel about things, I tend to keep a lot to myself. Like, people think I'm open and honest and really sort of put myself out there. But actually the stuff that I talk about, I'm very detached from it a lot of the time. I talk about suicide and self-harm and all that sort of crap, and I'm happy to talk about it. I'm comfortable talking about it. I think it's important to talk about this stuff, But, like, when it comes to like, really, I don't know, I don't let people in a lot. I give people what I'm happy for them to have, and that's it. But I think my boyfriend, he probably knows more about me, like, truthfully, than anyone else I've ever known. Like, poor bastard, like, I talk to him about shit you should never talk to your boyfriend about, And sometimes it takes me a few days to getting around to getting things off my chest, but yeah, no, he's probably the only person that does it. Like, I explain stuff to my mum as best I can sometimes, but I don't know. I'm a weird creature, apparently. One more, and then, let's see. I can become anxious and spiral into a depression if I don't receive praise or admiration. Right, I didn't realise this until really recently. This is a fairly new development in, like, figuring out my fucking brain. I didn't realise how much I rely on praise and admiration from other people. I've clearly been talking too long, because that's the third train today. A long one. If I could be bothered with editing, you wouldn't have to put up with this shit, I'm on my phone, for fuck's sake. Really? Yeah. Carry on. Maybe it's a sign I should shut the fuck up. Anyway, last one, because, like, seriously, this isn't even 20 minutes long. I can't see anyone holding their attention for that long. Yeah, like, this whole praise and admiration thing, like everybody likes receiving praise and admiration, but I didn't realise how much it affected me until really recently, when I don't get it, and I do get really anxious and depressed about it. I start to feel like, it's like, why is no one... I'm great, I'm doing all this great stuff and no one's fucking telling me so. Like, I need other people to back me up. If I think I've done well, I need someone else to back me up, else I don't really believe it. You know, if I'm not getting enough attention from my boyfriend, if I don't think he's lavishing me with enough attention, I get really pissy with him and really depressed, and I start to hate him, quite frankly. I start to feel like I deserve better than this, and yeah, start thinking about doing lots of things that I probably shouldn't in order to gain some attention. Yeah, it's a bit of a weird one. It's relatively new to me, but yeah, I don't quite know how you deal with that. I think just, well, making videos and posting them on the internet, apparently, that's one way of dealing with it. Yeah, but yeah, anyway, that's probably it for today. I'm so tired. Hypomania is fun, but, you know, fucking hell, I'm worn out.